All right, so just as before, if you watched the earlier video, you'll already know this. When we're looking for one of these sides, particularly in this case, we're looking for the altitude, x, right? We're going to start there. Then what we will do is uh, we're going to take the length of this side and take the length of this side, and we're going to multiply them together and take the square root. So essentially what I'm saying is, let me pick up my color here, x squared is going to be equal to those two segments that are created by the altitude, um, this section, the length of this section, times the length of this section. So then what you get is x is equal to the square root of that, 9 times 7. And fun fact, we could break this down into 3 times 3 times 7 and say, oh, well, there's that 3 is in there twice, so we bring it out once and we get 3 root 7. That's actually what the answer is. But you can also look at it like this, which is 9 is a perfect square root. I'm sorry, a perfect square of 3 times 3. So even though you could break it down into 3 times 3, you could also look at this and just say, well, there's the 3, there's the 9, we square root it to bring it out to be a 3. So you get then x is equal to 3 root 7. That's the first bit. Okay? And now, get all this away. Now we're looking for y. And so y is slightly different, how we approach it. Y is this length here. And because it's one of those outside legs of the right triangle, then what we're going to be doing is we're going to say we're going to get that number y, and I'll write here y squared. That number squared is these two sections. This side there times the whole hypotenuse all the way across. So whenever you're looking for one of the legs, you're going to take this whole hypotenuse, this whole length, and by the way, let me erase it so you can see what that is. That's actually 9 plus 7, which is 16. Okay, that whole purple length, 9 plus 7 or 16, times that, just that section of it that's part of the triangle that y comes from, times 9. We can then say y squared, or y equals rather the square root of these two numbers. And we could break them apart, but again, why would we? Because they're both perfect squares. So we can then just say y is equal to, what's the square root of 16? The square root of 16 is 4. We can bring that out as a 4. Times, what's the square root of 9? The square root of 9 is 3. And there's nothing left in there because they were both perfect squares. Sweet. So then y equals 12. That's it. So to recap, if you're trying to find the altitude, that inside line that splits the triangle, you're going to do both of these small segments that are created by that split, 9 times 7, and that will be what you're square rooting, okay? Which is, by the way, 63, but we never multiplied it together. We just started breaking it apart. If you're going to take one of the legs, if you're trying to find one of these legs, and the legs are the two sides that make up the right angle, if you're trying to find the legs, you do the entire hypotenuse of the big triangle. In this case, it's 16 because 9 plus 7 is 16. 16 times whatever that segment is that's attached to the same triangle as the leg you're trying to find. So we're looking at this triangle. So we take that section times the entire thing. Okay, we are going to use the entire thing whenever we're trying to find one of these outside legs.